Lobries and Gentlegrams, in today's episode of Lobby in Gentleland, the tiny terrifying Tupac twin, E40's feistier friend, Too Short's short-statured sharpshooting assassin, Snoop Dogg's top dog nephew, the nothing-a-liker, the Aubreyana Liver, the spiraling soft actor rapper Slicer, Dr. Dre Striker, the Sources 5 Micer, the slaughtering Cypher writers West Coast Sniper, King Kung Fu Kenny Lamar got laced with another trash diss track, but this time it's not from Lobby, it's from one of his OV hoes looking for get back. So before we get started, give the like and subscribe button a little kiss and maybe you'll get a kiss back. Now, Lobbies and Gentlegrams, this is a side note, but I was just thinking this, so I'm curious your guys' answer. What was the first hip-hop album, CD, if you're as old as me, that you ever bought? Or what was the album that got you into hip-hop? Not the song, but the actual album. For me, it has to be Carter 2 by Lil Wayne. I was lucky enough to be like 7 years old at the beginning of his prime. I didn't know what the Carter 2 was, but I was in HMV. Let me know if you guys remember the store HMV. And again, I didn't know the Carter 2, but I knew what Lil Wayne looked like, right? Again, as an 8-year-old white Canadian dude, the look of a dude with long dreads, a Bape hoodie, and a bunch of face tats, that was like a modern day rock star for me. And so I saw that leaning up against, the Rolls Royce on that Carter 2 album cover. I'm like, Mom, I need to buy this. So shout out to my mom for letting her 8-year-old son buy the Carter 2, the clean version, of course. But I still remember hearing those bars for the first time. They call me Mr. Carter. I kissed the daughter of the dead's forehead. I killed the father. And yeah, I'll stop rambling for now. But let me know in the comments the story of the first album that you ever purchased or the one that got you into hip hop. Now, Lobbies and Gentlegrams, I'm sorry for all the side notes, but man, we also got to touch on this picture because holy. I saw someone say Drake looks like Jim Jones with nail polish and I can't unsee it. Like, I think I gotta stop, with the nicknames and all that. This beef has aged this man 40 years. Like, bro, look at the bags under those eyes, man. Like, this is a sad, sad picture. Like, Kendrick Lamar turned this guy into Champagne Grandpappy, bro. Like, he went from BBLs to bingo night. From Rihanna to retirement homes. From filing petitions to collecting pensions. And I love how it was Top 5 that posted this picture. Like, the guy couldn't make Drake look worse enough with all his antics. He's gotta now show the world the toll that this beef had on Drake. I mean, if anyone's still delusional enough to tell you that Drake won this beef, just show them this picture. It's sad though, like, we forget that this guy is human sometimes and like the toll that an insane amount of stress can have on you, but at the same time, you tested the terrifying tiny Tupac twin and he told you that's something you don't want to do. So it's fitting that the beef got you looking older than an aged wagyu. But it looks like there's someone else looking to say the name and see Candyman. Someone else trying to assassinate the Aubreyana Liver. But you guys won't know this guy. At the time of the recording of this video, the diss track that we're going to break down in this video has about 1,500 views on SoundCloud. So let's see if we could get more likes on this video than listens that this song already has. It was written, recorded, and released by the name of this rapper by the name of Hakeem Prime. I saw someone on Twitter say he should rename himself to Hakeem OVHO because his entire Twitter is filled with OVHO conspiracies, a bunch of Drake glazing, and a bunch of Kendrick crapping on. I mean, look at some of the stuff that this guy has been retweeting over the last couple days. He retweeted one of Drake's artists, Preem, saying, pay close attention to who had your back and who backed out. And right before that, he tweeted out this disgusting tweet about what represents black American culture, with they not like us being a part of it. Mind you, this is a black American, right? A person who claims he's from the Bay and is criticizing Kendrick's Bay Area influence in his music on this new diss track that we're about to break down. He also retweeted this. Baka Not Nice revealing that he was going to respond to Kendrick, but Drake told him to ignore the noise. I guess Drake didn't tell this OVHO to ignore the noise because he just dropped a Kendrick diss track. Someone asked him, considering he's about, a year late, isn't he a little bit late to be dropping this Kendrick diss track? And he said, what, was I supposed to stand in for Drake with the 20v1? Like, yeah, if you're really an OVHO, that was the time that you were supposed to defend Drake, right? Like, I said this in a previous video. Who the hell defended Drake during that 20v1, right? You had Future, ASAP, Childish, Gambino, Kendrick, The Weeknd, Rocky, Rick Ross, all these guys taking shots at Drake. Not one rapper stepped in to defend Drake, to drop any diss track of their own. That to me was one of the craziest parts of this whole battle and showed that Drake must have really burnt a lot of bridges within this music industry. He's also out here defending Drake for not being a PDF because if you guys didn't know, Vlad a couple days ago was saying that he heard that Drake paid a lot of people off during his time living in the Hidden Hills in Los Angeles. There were crazy parties going on back then. Whatever the case was, Vlad heard that a lot of people were paid off to stay silent about the strange things that Drake had going on when he was living out there. And this guy said, don't nobody believe Vlad. Are you kidding me? He was never invited to Drake's house anyway. Kendrick and Vlad, the only ones who want Drake to be R. Kelly. But again, Vlad never said he was at Drake's house. Vlad is just a dude with some very extensive federal investigative work under his belt. You might not like how Vlad ties people up in their interviews, sometimes getting them to incriminate themselves, but one thing that you can't criticize Vlad on is his ability to dig like a pig into someone's criminal past. He's very good at doing that. Definitely not for the good, but it's a skill he possesses nonetheless. He's also feeding into the OVHO conspiracies about Kendrick using bots, retweeting this tweet that said Drake is at number 3 with 15 million in radio, Kendrick is at number 1 with 60 million in radio. Y'all chose not to see it when it was Nicki. Can the general public now see, since they're Golden Boy, that they use radio to rig the Billboard charts? Take radio off this chart and the entire Hot 100 would be made of different songs. I actually disproved this in a past tweet. You can look up the Twitter account Lip Predictions. They showed that even without radio, Kendrick would still be number 1 on the charts. So all these botting rumors, all these payola rumors, it doesn't really matter, because regardless, Kendrick would still be number 1. But this guy's feeding into the conspiracies because, hey, why not? And hey, by the way, guys, follow me on Twitter at hiphophistory_. Or you could just look up the name Rapaholics, or I'll leave the link to my Twitter in my description. So anyways, this guy drops this track. It's not very good. He's now beefing on Twitter with a bunch of different accounts. Shout out to, I'm sure you guys know, the YouTuber Deleted. Dope channel. If you don't know him, definitely check him out. He went in on this guy for basically trying to say on this diss track that Kendrick was stealing the Bay Area sound without giving back to the Bay Area culture or putting enough Bay Area artists on. We'll look at his back and forth with this OVHO later in the video, and we'll also reflect on everything that Kendrick has done for the Bay within this video as we break down this diss track. I believe this guy is saying that Kendrick was biting the Bay Area sound due to the fact that Not Like Us and a lot of records off GNX featured Mustard production, some flows reminiscent to Bay Area legends like E40 and Too Short. You had bars like, you think the Bay gon' let you disrespect Pac? I think that Oakland show is gonna be your last stop. As a Canadian, I might not be the best person to contextualize signature Bay Area cultural aspects or sounds that Kendrick was directly taking influence from, but I'll do my best to explain. For example, the Mustard production alone, right? When Mustard came in the game, his production became, the face of West Coast sound for the new generation, right? For the 2010s. And there was definitely a lot of inspiration taken from earlier iconic Bay Area music. Like, for example, just the tempo and bounce alone of his beats, right? They're very reminiscent to the hyphy sound that came out of the Bay Area, as both of them consistently are around the 95 to 105 BPM. That's beats per minute. Basically, that bouncy, danceable feel that you get from Mustard production, that's because of how fast the tempo of the song is, how many beats per minute the song is, flowing in. Like, for example, you could go look up a song like Super Hyphy by Keek to Sneak, and everything from the tight drum patterns within that song, the overall tempo of the instrumental, and even his flow alone are very reminiscent to the sounds you'd hear on like a Peekaboo or Hey Now by Kendrick.
I mean for sure, know what I mean for sheets. I mean for sure, know what I mean. What they talking about, they ain't talking about none. What they talking about, they ain't talking about nothing. What they talking about, they ain't talking about nothing.
And Mustard had actually addressed this very early on in his career, questioning, why there was so much influence from that Bay Area sound when he was from LA. And he emphasized that, he was building up his own signature sound, and the influence came from what he grew up on, right? He was from the West Coast, so regardless if he was from LA or Oakland, you're going to get sprinkles of the legends all across the coast within his music. From that hyphy sound to Dr. Dre's G-Funk sound, from Too Short to Snoop Dogg, there's a little bit of something from everywhere across the coast. And speaking of Deleted, if I remember correctly, I think he has a really good video touching on the similarities or the influence of the Bay Area sound within Kendrick's GNX album, so definitely check that out. And again, we'll go through all the homage and all the Bay Area artists that Kendrick put on as we break down this diss track. But first, Lobbies and Gentlegrams, unlike Drake, a bunch of you guys have been telling me you've been Anita Max winning some free cash from playing mobile games. So I want to put all you guys on to something that almost seems too good to be true. All right, let me give you a little glimpse into my life. When I'm not making this content for you guys, I have a disgusting addiction to my phone. My daily screen time is higher than Drake on that album cover, higher than Snoop off the edibles. So if you guys suffer that same addiction as me, I want to put you onto something that's going to change your life. FreeCash.com is a program that partners with mobile games that are looking for more users to play their games, and they will literally pay you to play their games for free. All you got to do is sign up using the QR code you see on the the screen or using the link in the description of this video. You make an account super easy. All you gotta do is put in your email, create a password, verify your email, and then you're good to go. And they got a bunch of games. My favorite is the Monopoly Go, because we're always on the go trying to make some money. Once you make an account, you just click the game you want to play, follow the directions that they give you. The directions are super easy. Usually you just got to download the game and start playing. So it's about time you put that phone addiction to good use. Again, use the QR code you see on the screen or the link in my description. Create an account and you could start making more than $150 just to play a game on your phone. So the cover art to this mid-track, I don't even want to call it a diss track, I'm going to call it a mid-track. He took influence from Kendrick putting Drake's House on the Not Like Us cover with all those S Offender pins. So the cover art to his diss track or mid-track is a property and it features the letters on it, WITSEC. And so he actually spoke on where this cover art was inspired from, and he said the image provided is a property on West Ridge Road in LA that Kendrick owns. The WITSEC label is interesting, which stands for Witness Protection Program, suggesting Kendrick is back quote-unquote hiding or keeping a low profile, which aligns with his private nature. Now, I find it ironic that this guy is talking about Kendrick, being a private guy, but somehow he knows that Kendrick owns this random property in LA. It's giving some stalker vibes if you ask me, because again, Kendrick is a private guy. How the hell do you know he owns this property? And I mean, he's private by choice, right? What's your excuse for no one knowing you? So anyways, he starts this diss track off by rapping,
Look, I'm from the West, so I know where it started. You borrowed from the Bay, repacked it, then you charted.
So, I mean, right off the bat, a couple inconsistencies here, right? The guy says he's from the Bay. His name is Hakeem Prime. You could see on his Genius page that it says Hakeem Prime is from Georgia. And oh, look who verified this quote. Look who verified his own bio. Hakeem Prime himself, verifying that this information was true. He also says that he's from Idaho or was raised in Idaho. So, I don't know, maybe he was born in 3 different places? I'm pretty sure he admits in one of his Twitter beefs after this diss song was released that he didn't actually grow up in the Bay. So, I don't know specifically what his tie to the Bay is, but I mean, the guy's got 41 followers on Genius and he himself verified the information that he's from Georgia. So, again, I don't know what to tell you here. But he claims that Kendrick borrowed from the Bay, repacked it, and then he charted. He doesn't provide specific examples within the diss track of Kendrick, stealing from the Bay. But again, if we're going off the basis that the Mustard production is Bay adjacent, Mustard has said countless times that the influence in his music spans all across the coast. And I think he's trying to emphasize here that Kendrick wasn't charting before Not Like Us. Once he borrowed that Bay sound, once he had that DJ Mustard production, that's when he started charting. As if Euphoria, a week before, the diss track a week earlier, didn't hit number 3 on the Billboard before Not Like Us. Like that with Future and Metro Boomin featuring an Atlanta trap sound was not number 1 months before Not Like Us. I mean, forget Kendrick's, solo hits. He had diss tracks that were hits that were not Bay Area sounding songs that were charting before Not Like Us. But anyways, this clown continues on rapping.
LA native, but Compton couldn't save you. You mimic the you, but the rhythm ain't stand true.
Now, what's he trying to say here? That Compton couldn't save Kendrick's career? Compton sounding songs cannot give Kendrick a hit the same way that Bay Area sound has seen Kendrick spawn multiple hits now, like Squabble Up, TV Off, Not Like Us. I'm just naming the songs that have Mustard production. But look at an album like Good Kid, Mad City, right? That album was entirely inspired by the sounds and culture of Kendrick's hometown, and that's arguably his biggest album to date. I mean, there's literally a song on that album called Compton. And if you're talking about Compton not being able to save him, I mean, that's an album him talking about a good kid in a mad city. He himself stating that he escaped the generational trauma and the cycles of oppression that the previous generation in his neighborhood experienced and the people around him were experiencing. I mean, listen to Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst, right? That's Kendrick talking about how he could have ended up like his deceased friends if he made the wrong choices, if he wasn't saved. So I don't see what this guy is talking about. And before we go deeper into his lyrics, like, Kendrick puts so much of his life within his music that if you're a Kendrick Lamar fan and you study him and you don't misinterpret his lyrics like Drake did on The Heart Part 6, there's a lot of angles you could take to actually concoct a diss track against Kendrick just based off the details he gives you in the music alone, right? Listen to it To Pimp a Butterfly or a Mr. Morale. You'll get all the flaws you need, all the ammo you need to diss Kendrick's character. The cheating on Whitney in Copenhagen, the dark depression on songs like You or United in Grief or the song Mr. Morale. It's all there for you, but not only are you already a year late to diss Kendrick, already are you not relevant enough to warrant a response from Kendrick, you're also not bringing relevant enough claims against Kendrick's character where this song has any validity to it. But he continues rapping.
Clashes at the Super Bowl, cause
Cole exposed you.
Here he's saying, because he actually verified these lyrics on Genius himself. Like, if you guys don't know how Genius works, it's a community of people that type up the lyrics and then other people, add in their own interpretations of the lyrics. And sometimes artists can go in and verify if those explanations of the bars were actually accurate. This guy had a lot of time on his hands. Besides, beefing different Kendrick fans on Twitter, he also went back to Genius and verified all the lyrics of this diss track. Of course, no one's actually taken the time to annotate them or explain them or break them down. I might be the only channel that's dumb enough to actually break this diss song down, but he verified all the lyrics were accurate. So what he's rapping here is, no classics at the Super Bowl, Cole exposed you. No classics at the Super Bowl? I mean, if you want to talk numbers perspective, what about Humble? What about DNA? What about All the Stars, right? These are like diamond songs. Humble is, I think, the highest selling rap song of all time. 20 million units sold. He played some of the classics or pieces of the classics, but he chose to keep the performance very current, intentionally, right? He could have went back to the Mad Cities, the All Rights, whatever. But this was not a nostalgia-based performance. This was something that he wanted people to talk about in the present moment and integrate his current album, his current music, into this large-scale production with storytelling and an actual theme behind it, playing the Great American Game. That, in and of itself, making the performance a classic. The fact that, people are still breaking down that performance and the little Easter eggs within it down today, months later, right? It was the first solo hip-hop performance where you're actually getting the bars. You're actually getting straight hip-hop songs on a stage like that. No artist really has the catalog or the performance ability or the artistry or creativity to execute on something like that other than a Kendrick Lamar. You could say I'm glazing, but what other rapper can you think of that could go on and do a 13-minute performance on a Super Bowl stage with songs like Euphoria, Man at the Garden, or Peekaboo, right? And then him saying Cole exposed you. All right, so what he's talking about here, he's alluding to the botting rumors again, right? Because on J. Cole's song Port Antonio, he reflects on his decision to back out of the beef, stating that it ended up escalating into something he wouldn't have felt comfortable with. Bars like, I pulled the plug because I've seen where that was about to go. They wanted blood. They wanted clicks to make their pockets grow. Keyword, clicks. A lot of people forget that Kendrick was the first one to call out Drake on using the bots as a tactic within this beef to try to sway public opinion online. I forget the exact line. We're going to review it on the 1 year anniversary of 616, and I believe it was also, actually I think it was only 616, right? Because Kendrick was pretty much silent before that. There was no Twitter bot accusations before that, but he said, you're playing dirty with Zach Bia and Twitter bots, or your little memes are losing steam. They figured you out. You need a new route. Before you think you're all alone, ask what Mike would do. Such a great song, man. Like, that was one of the greatest tracks to come out of that battle. But yeah, Kendrick put that bot accusation on Drake before Drake could come back on the Hard Part 6 saying, stop using trolls and bot comments or whatever the line was. And the bot rumors didn't initially start with, people accusing Kendrick of using bots to boost the streams of Not Like Us. It actually started from public discourse on Twitter throughout the beef, where you'd see a bunch of these Twitter accounts all tweeting the exact same thing, crapping on either Drake or on Kendrick. And that is alluding to the fact that they were bots because they're all posting the same exact thing over and over. Then we also saw, an absurd amount of dislikes on Drake's songs Family Matters and the Heart Part 6 on YouTube. So obviously the OVHO conspiracy theorist said that, Kendrick's team was using bots to put all these dislikes on those songs, right? Because it couldn't have just been that, Drake took the L here. So Cole continues rapping, since the age of 14, Jermaine is no king. If that means I gotta dig up dirt and pay the whole team of algorithm bot guys just to sway the whole thing on social media, competing for your favorable memes. And of course, Cole also has that verse on 21 Savage song a lot, where he says, how many faking their streams, getting their plays from machines. I could see behind the smoke and mirrors, they're not really as real as they seem. So yeah, Cole was exposing botting a long time ago, and with Port Antonio he readdresses it in that both Drake and Kendrick, because he says they were both using bots to sway public discourse online. I don't think it was just one side. I think both of them on Twitter, probably not them directly obviously, but their teams were using bots to sway fans' reactions and public opinion. But this guy is using that to say that Cole exposed Kendrick for using bots, even though Drake's legal team is allegedly about to remove the complaint in their lawsuit that Kendrick was actually botting Not Like Us because they didn't have enough proof for it. UMG had said to the judge that before April 16th, Drake's team will re-amend his lawsuit taking out certain complaints, and one of them they named would be the fact that they didn't have enough proof that Kendrick was body Not Like Us, so they're going to remove that from the lawsuit. So what exactly did Cole expose here, right? Again, Kendrick was the first one on diss tracks on Wax to say that Drake was the one using bots on Twitter to sway public opinion. But anyways, he continues rapping.
Bot farms got you safe while the industry in this thing.
So again, accusing Kendrick of using bots, saying that bot farm got you safe while the industry's in a sting. I don't think we need to touch on the bot thing anymore. I mean, a couple of reasons, right? Spotify already removed bots off all the songs on their platform that had fake streams. Not one Kendrick song was affected. AKA, if Kendrick's songs had fake streams on them, the Spotify numbers would have been reduced. They would have been lowered because all the botted streams, the fake streams, would have been removed. And also, we're going to see by April 16th, the new lawsuit that Drake's team conjures up, and if those claims of botted streams are either removed or they add in new sources to try to prove their claims. So I think at this point, until we get that updated version of the lawsuit, there's not really much else to say about the whole botting situation. For now, there's a lot of proof that shows Kendrick wasn't actually botting any of his songs. But then we get another bar about AI.
Talking about levels, but you can't touch the peak without the AI.
I don't really know what this is about. Kendrick doesn't use AI in his songs. I haven't seen him use AI in his, marketing tactics. But there were a lot of rumors that Drake's first diss track, Push Ups, was actually leaked as an AI version, and that's because his ghostwriters conjured up the reference track, recorded it, and then put Drake AI vocals on top of it. We're going to touch on all that in the 1-year anniversary of Push Ups, which is right around the corner. Stay tuned. That'll probably be the next video on the channel on April 13th, I believe. But before we touch on that mid-diss track, we'll continue going with this mid-track. Here he critiques Kendrick's pen.
You whispering riddles, I bring the facts to your Kindle.
This is similar to Drake criticizing Kendrick's lyricism on Tailor Made, saying, I'm gonna need a quintuple entendre for your next diss track when you finally drop it. And this guy's saying, Kendrick raps in riddles. Well, riddle me this, big guy. Why is it that all those riddle-fueled tracks that Kendrick dropped last year all outstreamed La Brianna's diss tracks? Those riddles got him onto the Super Bowl stage, so I think he'll keep going with the riddles.
They say the culture lost, cause y'all keep hating even if we are winning.
I don't know what this one means. Maybe you guys can explain it for me in the comments. They say the culture lost cause y'all keep hating even when we're all winning. Who's hating and who's winning here? I mean, this is a diss track against a guy who's probably never heard of your name, a complete knockoff of Not Like Us that came out over a year ago. I don't know who's hating here. I mean, I guess to be fair, Kendrick did say he's the biggest hater, but we'll keep going.
Gassed off the Pulitzer Prize with googly eyes.
Gassed off the Pulitzer Prize with googly eyes. I think I have better rhymes in the intro of my videos than this guy has in this diss track. But yeah, if you guys didn't know, Kendrick won a Pulitzer Prize for his album Damn. I think that's the first hip-hop album and first rapper to ever win a Pulitzer Prize. Maybe this is a play on the whole, Kendrick just opened his mouth, so I'm gonna go hand him a Grammy right now. Yeah, I think it would have been better fitting to say he was gassed off the Grammys, because obviously Not Like Us won 5 Grammys. But, all these awards that Kendrick's got, all these accolades, all the love he's received, this guy says it's because...
That was for pity. They gave you your turn because of Pac and Biggie.
What does that mean? They gave you your turn because of Pac and Biggie? Because Kendrick's carrying on their legacy? Is that supposed to be a bad thing? But this is his best insult at Kendrick.
And you just a nerd that's trying to sound like a driller.
He's a nerd trying to sound like a driller. I don't think Kendrick's ever made one mention of drilling, spinning a block, shooting an op. I've never heard him mention any of that in any of his music, but I guess he's a nerd trying to sound like a driller. But then we get into the chorus where he raps,
Control C, boy, you copied the bay.
So Control C is obviously like the command key for copying something, like copy paste. He's saying he copied the bass sound. I mean, aside from him, shouting out E40 in the collective on Like That, the first song that kicked off this entire beef, aside from him paying homage to the Bay on Not Like Us with, you think the Bay gonna let you disrespect Pac, I think that Oakland show gonna be your last stop, aside from the Squabble Up music video, which featured Oakland's Turf Fiends dance crew, I think featuring that same crew on his Super Bowl performance, aside from Bay Area legend E40 narrating the pop-out concert. You also had Kendrick featuring the Bay group SOB x RBE on the Black Panther soundtrack way before this beef in 2018 on the song Paramedic. I'm sure there's tons of other examples. That's just the ones off the top of my head. Oh, and I'm bringing this up because after the song was released, he got in a Twitter beef with, again, the YouTuber Deleted. When Deleted said, copied the Bay, he showed the whole Bay love. That's not copying, that's embracing. Let's talk about how Drake stole Bay Area lingo. The beats, the lyrics, come on, bruh. He's referring, I believe, to The Motto by Drake and Lil Wayne, where, he shouts out Mac Dre because that song was extremely inspired by the Bay Area sound, even featuring E40 in the music video. But this guy replies saying, there's a difference between embracing and building with us versus taking the sauce, flipping it for the Grammys, and leaving the originators behind. Showing love ain't just name-dropping cities, it's investing in the culture that raised the wave. Drake, he definitely took the bait too, but we called him out, didn't we? This ain't about who did it worse. It's about who gets praised for originality while borrowing styles from the same people they never invited to the table. I made voice distortion for the overlooked voices, not just to throw shade. Kendrick's one of the best, but even the best need to be reminded the foundation they stand on came from somewhere real. If you embrace it, build with it. Don't just Control-C it. Don't just copy it, essentially. And I mean, again, man, like Kendrick put a bunch of underground West Coast artists on one of his most commercially successful albums with GNX. He donated a lot of the proceeds from the pop-out concert to a bunch of local LA businesses. I believe I have a video called, Kendrick's support of the West Coast, or does Kendrick support the West Coast enough? And it kind of details all the charitable initiatives he's taken within his hometown and within the West Coast in general. I mean, this guy's talking about, flipping the Bay Area sound for the Grammys. Kendrick literally got on the Grammy stage and shouted out a bunch of West Coast icons that came before him and rappers that inspired him, Glasses Malone, Daylight, etc. I think there's plenty of examples of Kendrick giving back to, the culture that not only he grew up in, but has also helped uplift. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a Canadian. I mean, Drake talked about in the Heart Part 6, my Montreal connects stand up, not fall down. Montreal is a city about 7 hours away from Toronto. I'm like somewhat close to there. I could tell you Drake hasn't put on not one rapper from Montreal, never featured a single rapper from Montreal on any of his festivals, on any of his albums. I haven't heard about him making, any charitable donation in Montreal communities or building up, any sort of infrastructure there, any sort of performance theaters, school systems. The video I did on Kendrick supporting the West Coast, it was from months ago, so my memory's kind of blurry on it, but I believe he started up an entire school program within Compton to teach young kids how to start creating music. I think there's a Noisy interview where he talks about that. I haven't seen Drake do that, forget Montreal, in Toronto or Canada alone. Drake has actually said his first major show was in Montreal. Again, just a couple hours away from Toronto. He hasn't come back to Montreal to do any, festivals or do anything major for the city. We're seeing Chris Brown and The Weeknd this year put on their own separate festivals within Montreal. Drake has never done that before. And I'm not using that to necessarily criticize Drake. I think, there's not much hip-hop talent in Montreal, at least from what I know of. Shout out the rapper K-Goon and his song Goonie Gang. That's the only Montreal hip-hop song that I actually know of. I believe Baka, Baka got a weird case. Why is he around? I believe he's also from Montreal. I haven't heard Drake do nothing to help uplift the music scene within Montreal or the culture there. But again, I say all that to say, he could take inspiration from there. He could have, these connects that uplift him in Montreal. It doesn't mean he's got to walk around in an orange julep mascot, drowning himself in poutine in every one of his music videos. Yeah, you Americans, you're going to have no idea what the hell I'm talking about in this video, but that's all right. There's some Canadian culture for you guys, New Year's resolution, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of Canadian culture in every single one of these videos. So, this mid-rapper continues.
Fake beef, fake pain, fake woke, fake fame.
Fake beef, fake pain, fake woke, fake fame. Could someone tell me what fake woke music means? I've been hearing a lot of, Kendrick making woke music. Drake talking about Kendrick, making music to free the slaves. Akademiks talking about, rappers he spoke to saying Kendrick made hip-hop woke again or made woke hip-hop music. I mean, I asked ChatGPT to give me the most objective definition of the word woke and where it came from, and they said the word woke originally came from African American vernacular English and meant being aware of social and racial injustices. I know, in today's age, they kind of use that term to define, I guess, left-wing individuals or liberals or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I thought so, and I guess ChatGPT is confirming it actually came from African Americans being aware of social and racial injustices. Again, not really my place to contextualize, given I'm not African or American, but I guess by that definition, Kendrick does make woke music. He does make music reflecting on social and racial injustices, which, is that supposed to be a bad thing? And how is this fake woke? I mean, in your tweets, you're talking about Kendrick not giving back to the culture enough, not, reflecting on the issues that are actually going on the ground level from the culture that you're taking inspiration from. But then in the next minute, you're talking about his music being fake woke, not actually touching on, I guess, the societal injustices. So which one is it, right? Is he not doing enough for the culture, or is he doing too much for the culture where it seems like overcompensating and inauthentic, disingenuous? I don't know, to me this just sounds like a fake diss track. I think this was just to get clicks, and it probably did a good job for him. It's probably working. But then this guy admits he's not even in the Bay.
I'm in Idaho, I don't know what you're looking at.
So yeah, this guy's out in Idaho talking about what Kendrick's got going on in the Bay. But then we get some funny bars here.
If I had Drake's bag, Kendrick, I'd body you daily.
If I had Drake's bag, Kendrick, I'd body you daily. I mean, I think Drake did a better job at bodying Kendrick than this guy's doing. Even Cole did, and he deleted his song. By the way, I did the 1 year anniversary of that song. Might delete later, 7-minute drill. That's a great video. You guys should definitely check that out.
6 months straight, label look at you crazy.
So yeah, the label's looking at him crazy, like, yeah, you're bringing us some crazy money right now. You keep dissing Drake, we're gonna keep swimming in this cash that all these songs are generating.
They took Kelly and Diddy, why would you follow their trends with the daughter and the minor?
I think this guy's trolling at this point. What does this even mean? They took Kelly and Diddy, why would you follow their trends with the daughter and the minor? What is he trying to say here? Like, why would you follow the trend of the federal government locking up R. Kelly and Diddy by trying to get Drake incarcerated by calling out his weird interactions with the musical chord A minor? Like, can someone explain this bar? What is he trying to say here? They took Kelly and Diddy, why would you follow their trends with the daughter and the minor? I mean, there was some ammo for you, right? Like, there was no proof of Drake ever having that daughter. Why didn't you just focus more on that? And we're gonna skip some bars here because it's just a bunch of filler, but he rapped this. I thought this was funny.
I would have sang to Whitney till she was blue in the face.
I would have sang to Whitney till she was blue in the face. What does that mean? Like, don't you get blue in the face when you're like nauseous or beaten up or something? Like, I don't think her being blue in the face is a good thing. So it being thanks to your singing, I don't see how that looks good for you. But anyways, he caps off this diss track rapping.
Z-lister hit control alt delete for the Super Bowl. Now it's time to erase.
So what's he saying here? Like, you know, after the Super Bowl, Kendrick's moment is done. The victory lap is done. Now it's time to erase. I find it funny that, you know, he's using all these like different keyboard shortcuts and all these keys and stuff. Control alt delete. But then the fans hated this diss track so much, he became a keyboard warrior on Twitter and beefed with Deleted. I mean, he was talking about deleting Kendrick on this diss track. The best he got was a beef with Deleted. But yeah, like I said, the fans didn't like this one too much. So here's some interactions he had with some very displeased listeners of this song on Twitter after it came out. One guy said, "Another booty scratcher speaking on stuff that he doesn't understand. California's sounds are borrowed all the time. From Sac to the Bay to LA to San Diego. You're outside of Cali in Potato, Idaho with a garbage track desperate for clout. My guy, just rap better." And Hakeem Prime, the creator of this amazing diss track, responded, "And you're the same B-word made guy that don't check a guy for it. Stamped Bay Area, boy." And I thought I screenshotted more comments about fans who were very displeased about this diss track. I guess I didn't, but you could go check out his Twitter. He was beefing with, you know, a bunch of different people crapping on his song. Deleted kind of summed it up well. He said, "Oh wait, this is the artist dissing K-Dot? My bad, I'm slow at times." Yeah, you don't speak for the whole Bay with this one. Not with Kendrick doing songs with people like Droop E, name-dropping artists like L.A. Russell, putting SOBXRBE on the Black Panther soundtrack, a Disney Marvel movie album, doing numerous collabs since 2010 with E40, paying homage to E40 on the Like That track, having E40 narrate the Ken and Friends pop-out concert. So yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier in the video too, right? Like, Kendrick has done plenty to pay homage to the Bay Area. And he continued saying, "And being one of the only LA artists to acknowledge that Tupac represents the Bay and Oakland. Don't forget K-Dot reaches out to the hyphy turf dancers for a lot of his music videos, and he brought them dancers to the Super Bowl with him who are from Oakland." So I guess, yeah, he did bring them to the Super Bowl as well. And he continues saying, "You sound like a hater for real. You don't speak for the Bay. And I see all them locations in your bio." Because, yeah, this guy is, just like Drake, a little culturally confused, right? Like, in one bar, he's saying he's from Idaho or in Idaho. In another bar, he's saying he's from the Bay. In his Genius bio, it says he's from Georgia. Drake one day is the Canadian Phony Montana. The next day, he's the Canadian Katy Perry. The next day, he's the Toronto Tough Talker. One day he's from Jamaica, one day he's from Atlanta, one day he's the spiraling sexy red stunt double. Like, it makes sense he's got all these ghostwriters. He's got all these different cultures within his music. We're going to keep it off Drake, though. We're not going to focus on Drake anymore in this video. As a matter of fact, we're not going to focus on anything anymore in this video. This video is done. Alright, will be the last time I ever speak on this guy, unless Kendrick somehow responds to him. Hakeem Prime, thank you for giving us the ability to make this content clowning you. I hope you remember where you're actually from. When you do, maybe you could update your Genius bio, because it seems like you're a little obsessed with your own Genius page. You might want to make sure the info there is at least accurate. This guy really capped off this song calling Kendrick a Z-list artist. What does that make you, bruh? Like, do we have to generate a whole second alphabet just to figure out the proper title to give you? I think the letter L is fitting enough. or maybe the letters OVHO. That's what you are, my friend. So let me know what you guys think, and I will catch you in the next one.